Hello, and welcome back to Let's Get Lit. In today's podcast, we'll be going over the 7th chapter of the Odyssey. I hope you guys are ready. And you guys know the drill. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can get the word out to as many people as possible. Alright, you guys ready? So, chapter 7 starts out with Nausicaa driving back to town, and she makes it home. When she gets there, her brothers unload the clothes and put the mules back in the stables. She then goes back to her room where her servants made a fire for her in her fireplace. The servants bring her food and drink when she is settled down. Odysseus gets up from his hiding spot and travels to the town. Athena hides him in a layer of mist so people won't be rude to him or stop to ask him questions. When he gets there, Athena disguises herself as a little girl. Odysseus asks the little girl where the king's house is at. Athena tells him that she will take him there. She says not to talk to anyone while they are traveling. These people are seafaring folk, and they don't take too kindly to strangers. As Athena leads Odysseus through the town, he admires everything that they have. Athena has still hidden Odysseus in a layer of dark mist so no one can see him. When they get there, Athena tells Odysseus that he should go in with purpose, that everyone will be at a large table, but go straight for the queen. Both the king and queen are descendants of Poseidon. Athena then tells the lineage of the family, how Poseidon slept with his daughter and had Rexor and Alcinous. Rhexenor had a daughter, Arete. Apollo kills Rexor, and Alcinous marries Arete. Both Arete and Alcinous give birth to Nausicaa. Side note, Poseidon has a Cyclops son, so he is related to everyone by half. Kinda weird, but yeah. Athena then says that Arete is good and just. Everyone thinks of her as almost like a god. Gain her goodwill and she'll make sure he gets home safely. Odysseus stands outside the door for a while and admires the beauty of it. The walls were bronze on both ends, the cornice was blue enameled, the doors were solid gold, and they were hung on pillars of gold that rose from a bronze floor. The mantle was silver and the hook of the door was gold. There were also 2 mastiffs made by Hephaestus on either side as well. Seats were all arranged along the wall, and over them were beautiful woven works made by the ladies of the house. Here is where the chiefs of the Phaeacians ate and drank. There were also golden figures of young men on pedestals with torches in their hand to light the path. These gave light to people traveling outside. Homer then goes on to tell that there are over 50 servants in the house, all with an abundance of chores. Also, that the Phaeacian women are the best at weaving because Athena showed them personally how to weave. Also, that these people were incredibly smart. Outside the outer court, there's a large and beautiful garden. There were all sorts of trees, pear, pomegranate, apple, and olive. There were even grapevines everywhere. Homer tells that where the Phaeacians are located, the fruit never runs out. Before the old fruit has begun to rot away, new fruit's ready to take its place. He then tells that there are 2 channels of water in the garden, one that aqueducts the garden itself, and the other that runs under the garden and goes out to the people of the town. Odysseus stops for a moment to admire the beauty of the garden, but then goes straight for the king and queen. He is still hidden by the mist that Athena has put on him. He makes it to the table and sees everyone eating and making offering to Hermes. He goes to the queen and touches her knee. The darkness vanishes, and everyone is in shock as they are surprised to see him bending down at the knee of the queen. Odysseus immediately begins to petition to the queen. He asks them to help him get back home and to his own country. He also flatters her and her husband. Aeneas, an old hero and excellent speaker, addresses everyone. Odysseus goes to sit by the hearth of the fire, which is the lowest place a person can sit in that time. Aeneas tells the king that Odysseus should not be sitting at the hearth, but should be given a chair at the table to sit in. He should also have wine and should make offerings to Zeus. Also, they should give him food, for he is surely hungry. Alcinous takes Odysseus by the hand and guides him to a seat right next to him. A servant brings out water, and Odysseus washes his hands. Then an upper servant brings him out bread and meats. Odysseus ate, and the servants mixed wine for everyone, and they made prayer offerings to Zeus. The people drank as much as they could, and the king addresses everyone. He tells everyone to go home and get some rest. Tomorrow he will call everyone back, and they'll have a sacrificial banquet for the stranger. They will then talk about the stranger and who he is. They will also figure out how to send him back home at once to his own country. They must see to it that he arrives safely home. Once he gets home, though, he's up to his own devices. The king then says that it could be that Odysseus is a god, but he's doubtful. He says that usually gods announce themselves when they come down. Odysseus reassures that he's not a god, that he's immortal. He asks that he eat just a little bit longer since he's been several days without food. He then says that he doesn't want to tell them, all of the good people that is, about his sad adventures, but please do help him get home. He would be happy to see his home and family again before he dies. Everyone agrees, and they all finish their drinks and head home. When it was just the queen and king and Odysseus left, the queen notices Odysseus wearing clothes. She asks him who he was, and she asks him if he had indeed come from the sea, and that if he did, why did he have on the clothes of her house? Odysseus tells the queen that to hear the entire story of his life would take way too long, and it would be way too sorrowful. But he answers her question. He tells her of how he was sailing home near an island. Zeus struck his boat with a lightning bolt and broke his ship. All of his crew drowned, and he was stuck floating on a piece of wood for 9 days. He then washed up on an island. He found out that the island belonged to Calypso, daughter of Atlas, and she took him in and wanted to make him immortal, but Odysseus kept telling her no. He says that he stayed with Calypso for 7 years. Every day he cried and longed for his family and country. Then one day, either by her own doing or that of Zeus, she let him go. He built a raft and set sail for 18 days. Poseidon then sent a great storm to him, just as he could make it out to the shoreline of her great country. His raft broke into pieces and he had to swim for it, until the wind and current brought him to her shore. He tells her how when he got to shore, the rocks were bruising him and cutting his hands and feet, so he had to swim back out to the sea. And as he swam around the island, he was trying to find a way to get in. When he found a river, he swam towards it. There he made it to shore and found an olive tree/bush to fall asleep under. He covered himself with leaves and slept. The next afternoon, he woke up to the sounds of her daughter and her handmaids playing. Her daughter was noble and just and helped him. She fed him and gave him the most excellent of clothes to wear. Odysseus then really compliments the queen's daughter, and he tells her that that is the whole and complete truth of his story. Alcinous tells him that he is angry with his daughter, because she didn't bring him back with her. Odysseus tells him not to be angry, she's not to blame. She told him to follow her, but he was too afraid and ashamed, for he thought they might be displeased if they saw him. Alcinous tells Odysseus that he would never be angry for no reason. In fact, he really likes Odysseus. He asks him that if he wants, he can marry his daughter, and the king would give him an estate and house to live in. But he won't keep Odysseus against his will. Tomorrow, he'll get a ship ready, and they will take him home no matter how far. He then goes on to brag how his ships are really fast. Odysseus thanks the king and blesses him. The king tells the servants to go and make him a bed. They do, and they come back to get him, and everyone goes to bed. This is the end of Chapter 7 of the Odyssey. Thank you to everyone who's listened so far, and stay tuned as more chapters are coming up. Remember to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss out. And as always, stay lit.